So I called my mom this morning. So obviously this Sunday is Easter. And so I called her and she asked Holly and I to bring a salad and a vegetable or a dessert. So she said, let me know if it's going to be a veggie or a dessert. I'll make whatever you don't bring. So I called her. I said, all right, we're going to bring a salad and a veggie. And I said, oh, what are you up to? She goes, oh, I'm at home. And this was at like 9:15. I was like, oh, it's weird that you're not at work. She's like, yeah, waiting for the plumber to come. The sink's backed up. So I said, oh, what happened? She said, well, I suspect your father dumped his plate of pasta down the garbage disposal. And I said, you suspect? She goes, well, I came in last night and he had what one could only describe as a heap of pasta on his plate. And then the next morning it was gone. She's like, he couldn't have ate it all. There was nothing in the trash. So she called my dad and she goes, hey, did you throw the pasta down the garbage disposal? He goes, yeah. She goes, well, now it's all backed up. He goes, well, I didn't throw it down the sink. She goes, well, that's not something to be proud of. Like, why didn't you just throw it in the trash? He goes, well, I thought the garbage disposal could hold it. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she goes, yeah, well, it cost $125 for the plumber to come fix it. And he goes, ugh. That's a lot. And so that very mild Eugene Fogarty story, but still very, very funny. And to all our listeners, welcome back to the Average Nobodies podcast. Today is April 18th, 2019. So it's been 2019 years since Jesus has risen from the dead, right? Do I have that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're almost to the day.
Yep. Almost to the day.
If
Sunday's the anniversary.
Yeah,
big anniversary party coming up for all the believers in Jesus.
Big day for the believers.
Big day for the believers. We have the written word blog, averagenobodies.com. We're on Twitter at averagenobodies. We are on YouTube. All our videos our archive videos, our podcasts, everything we've ever done. youtube.com/theaveragenobodies. And for your podcast needs, audio, we're on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, anywhere. If you have two paper cups and a string, I'm pretty sure you can listen to us talk on the podcast.
You just have to listen very closely.
You do.
Keep at it. If you don't hear us the first time, it's probably not going to happen, but keep trying.
And just an advisory, it doesn't record on that format. It's live only.
No, it has to be live only. Yeah.
So Matt, we've been off for almost a week, almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, just about.
And we had a little trip last weekend.
It was amazing.
It was. I will say it's really funny comparing going to WrestleMania 6 years ago, so as 23 and 24-year-olds, and going to WrestleMania as 29 and 30-year-olds.
Yeah, let's do a quick little fun exercise. Let's recap how it went when we went in 2012 versus how it went when we went in 2019. So when we went in 2012, we all drove in a big van. This time was about the same. We drove in a minivan down, a little less people, but still the same idea. The first thing we did when we got there was we went to the liquor store and bought, what could only be described as a small village's worth of beer. How many 30 racks? It was like, we had a picture. It was like 10 or 12.
10, yeah. It was the 30 racks stacked on top of each other were taller than like a 6 foot tall person.
Yeah. And we got to the parking lot the second they opened at like 9 a.m. and started drinking from then until midnight, pretty much.
Yeah. And this year yep.
Go ahead.
Well, this year when we went 6 years ago, we stayed in a hotel, 2 separate rooms for the 12. I think for the 12 of us. This year, Airbnb's around. We don't need a hotel. Technology's evolved in the 6 years, right? I don't think it was a thing.
If it was a thing, it was like very early on. I don't think it was, but if it was very, very early on.
It was still that thing where you're like, you want me to stay in a stranger's house? Is he
right? Yeah,
there?
Yeah. It was like that thing when we first started using Uber, which I don't think was a thing either back then.
No,
it's like, so this is just a stranger's car I'm getting in and using, and he's gonna drive me. Okay.
What if he kills me? Which it does happen, I guess.
Yeah, it does. It's not a perfect system. but we
It's
put our
not.
faith in it.
But this time we stay at an Airbnb in what five out of the six of us described as a nice Spanish neighborhood. Um, in what one of the six of us described as the hood. It was not the hood.
It
It was
was
not the
not.
hood. It was
It
not the
was
hood.
not. It was not.
Um, but staying at a hotel, you have things you don't worry about. You're not worried about the parking. You park in the parking lot. You're not really worried about the room you're in. I mean, unless you totally demolish it, like housekeeping cleans it, you're fine.
Yeah.
But when you're staying at someone else's house, you got to be wary of the mess you make. Keeping it clean because you don't want to get charged a cleaning fee by the owner. And I think we parked in the most strict parking
Oh
neighborhood
my
in the
god.
country.
It was the worst. I've never this first of all, this city, there's no public parking lots. There's nothing. It's only street parking. That's it. There's no garages. There's no, like I said, no public lots. You're just parking on the street. And when I say park on the street, it's not a nice big long street with tons of parking on it. Every 5 feet, there's a driveway marker in the street. Like there's these white lines where you can't park. So there's like so many open spots, but you can't really park there because they're for so you're not blocking people's driveways. It was insanity.
And then you had to get a permit for $5 a day, which really is not bad.
Yeah.
But they only let you get 1 day at a time. And even though it's machine activated, like you don't go and a human being gives you a ticket, you just use a machine. The
Yeah.
machine isn't open 24 hours a day. That was the most mind-boggling thing to me. Why?
Yeah.
What was hurting them in keeping that machine open 24/7?
Yeah, I don't know. They have a very odd way about parking over there, for sure. North Bergen.
North.
What was the mayor's name?
Oh God, what was his name?
Uh Sacco,
David
Nick Sacco.
Nick Sacco.
Nick Sacco had his billboards everywhere. His little posters everywhere. Every house had Nick Sacco on it. Every business had Nick Sacco sign on it.
It was really impossible not to know that there was a mayoral election coming up.
Yeah.
But so when we went down 6 years ago, like you said, our first move was to get the beer. We stopped at the liquor store, got the beer, went to our hotel room. Well, this time it was the same thing. Beer was definitely a priority. We
Mhm.
did go. We went shopping first, actually,
Mhm. Yes,
which
yes.
which which made sense because now we had a kitchen. When you're at a hotel, you're going to eat out the whole time. But we had a kitchen, so we went shopping, got some food. But then when we got to the Airbnb, the parking was so strict, we didn't want to leave again to get beer. And technology saves the day, which I mean, I don't think I'm overstating that this might be the best app in the history
Yeah.
of apps.
It was you know what, and this was one of those things that like it was an Instagram ad served to me so many times, and it got stuck in my head. It's called Drizzly, and I'm sure a lot of people already know about this, but we just discovered it. It's liquor delivery. It's amazing. So I downloaded the app, I put in our area, and I was able to get how many? What, four or five?
Four. Yep.
Four 30 racks of Bud Light and a 6 pack of those Seltzer waters that Schwartz wanted delivered to our Airbnb. And I mean, ice cold. I mean, maybe like a half hour and it was there. Guy showed up on the street with a hand truck with the 30 racks piled up, delivered it right away. It was amazing. It was honestly amazing. And it was only a $5 delivery charge. I'll do that all day long. I don't think I'll ever go to a liquor store again.
No, it was. I don't think that guy has ever or will ever pull up to a happier group of people
No.
with a hand truck of 30s.
Yeah, well, the uniqueness was not lost on us. We appreciated it. We appreciated it for sure.
And I think that's kind of might be where the the similarities ended
Yeah, that was it. That
for
was it.
us because the actual WrestleMania. So we got in on the Saturday, enjoyed ourselves. Played a little Dodge beer. Mike D made a delicious gravy,
So
which turned
good.
into a little bolognese.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it
I've
was
had
still
that.
very good. And we were up bright and early on Sunday. Watched a little SNL. You know,
Mhm.
Kit Harington SNL was very good. And
That
then
that's your first sign that things are wrong is like when you start watching SNL the next morning on Sunday morning instead of
because you couldn't
Saturday
stay up.
nights. Right.
Yeah,
That's I remember like when we were a lot younger when we still watched SNL and we used to be like, oh, imagine when you're old when you start watching SNL the next day. Well, here we are watching SNL Sunday morning.
I know. And if there's going to be a time you're going to stay up and watch it, it's it's when you're out on like
Right.
a vacation or a trip. But no, we
Yeah, we got nothing to do.
we didn't make it.
Nope, didn't make it.
But then we did. We got to WrestleMania pretty early. We were one of the first cars in,
Yeah.
and then we realized we did not bring any ice.
Yeah.
A key a key factor in drinking beers for 8 to 9 hours,
Yeah. Is to make
and
sure
then
they're cold.
yeah, and then from there, I think we just like the tailgate. We just kind of kept to ourselves. Like we didn't venture out and talk to people. Like, hey, like you pumped for the show? We just like took turns taking naps in the van,
Yeah, I mean, it
and
was like we took turns taking naps in the van. Like last time, we were fighting with other people in the parking lot, like fake wrestling other people in the parking lot that we didn't know. And
right,
in our defense, like nobody parked around our van up until like maybe like 2 hours before the show went on, and by then we were already like done. We were all
yeah.
toasted. We were all sunburned and and hungover from drinking all morning. Yeah.
And then, yeah, do you think people kind of saw us and thought, you know what, maybe we'll stay clear?
Yeah, maybe we'll just stay away from them. One of them's got a Ric Flair jacket on. He looks a bit scary, Mike D. He's
Yep.
little did he know he's passed out in the back seat. If everybody could see Adam sunburn the next day, it was a tremendous. It
It
was
was very bad.
a tremendous line of red burned skin.
Yeah, his
Uh,
neck was in bad shape.
Yeah, I realized once I hopped on the plane and went to work that Tuesday, I like realized my head was burned, like very burned. Like
Oh,
I couldn't see it, but like I felt it. It was just I put a hat on and I was like, ah, shit. I thought I made it out alive, but it was like, oh, that's burned, definitely. And my lips were
my
so chapped. I
mine
they
were
were just
too.
yeah.
Like
It was because
still
of the
up
wind.
almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I'm still recovering. It was from the wind. It was so windy. Yeah. So
I will say the show, I mean, you're not really going to go to a bad WWE show
yeah.
live. I mean, they put on a really good show. And I mean, WrestleMania was a ton of fun. It was way too long. I think everyone's in agreement with that. You can't have, I mean, with the pre
Yeah.
show, it was 7.5 hours. That's too much wrestling. I love wrestling. I've loved wrestling since I was a kid. It's too much wrestling in one night. Even if I was watching it on TV, I don't know if I would have made it to the end of the main event.
Yeah. It was
You
so
know,
long.
it was a
I thought it
lot.
was like I said, I thought it was a good show. It's just everybody, like including us, it was just too long. It just
Yeah,
it's such a
I,
long show.
I'm hoping they tweak it next year and maybe make it a 2 day thing. Like, if Triple H needs to wrestle or you need those legends in there, like that Triple H match was almost 30 minutes, so that killed the crowd because they're
Yeah,
not doing anything and
I
they
know.
shouldn't have to. They're in their 50s. Like nobody's banking on them to be like the headline of WrestleMania. You have all these young guys and girls who are ready to go. Give them the 15, 20 minutes. With that said, I thought the show was great. It was really cool. You had Rollins win the title, Kofi Kingston win the title, Becky Lynch win both titles. I mean, that's huge. Those are like game changing wins, and you got three of them in one night.
Yeah,
Watching it back, I mean, the Becky Lynch one, obviously the crowd wasn't as into it, but it had nothing to do with her. It's just it was 12:30 in the morning. I mean, Stone Cold could have came back, and the crowd would have been like, yeah, all right, it's cool,
yeah,
but
I know.
man, I'm pretty freaking tired. Um, the big news for us is we escaped the apparent hellhole of trying to leave the stadium, which I don't blame anyone but the people.
Not at
With
all. I agree. I mean, I what I mean is I agree with you. Yeah.
I disagree, but I
I
mean, I don't. What did they expect? Like, I wouldn't
so
Uber. I wouldn't really want to Uber out of the Dunkin' Donuts Center in
no.
Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah, let's give a backstory here. So there was that huge issue. So with WrestleMania, when it let out, there was a huge exodus of people. Obviously, 82,000 plus people were in that stadium, and they're all getting out, trying to get on public transportation, trying to get in Ubers and Lyfts, trying to get in cabs, and apparently it was a nightmare. It's all you saw the next day for news for WrestleMania was about getting out. I mean, I had friends, family members that live in New York sending me articles like, "Oh, did you get stuck in this? Did you get stuck in this?" Our experience, like you said, couldn't have been better. We got out, we walked down, we walked through one and a half giant parking lots to get to our van. We got in the van. We waited maybe 10 minutes in line getting out, if that. It couldn't have been more than 10 minutes. And then we got on the highway immediately. I couldn't believe it.
And we were pretty far up.
We were all the way at the top. I mean, we were getting hit with the ashes from the fireworks. That's how far up we were. Literally, it's like we walked right down, walked out, and got in our van and got out of there. And apparently, everybody else did not have the same thing. But you're right; you can only blame the people. You got to have a better plan than thinking you're going to get out of WrestleMania and call a Lyft, and you're going to know where it is. It's going to pull up right in front of you, and you're going to get in. Like you're an idiot. You're dumb.
Yeah, I just don't understand how people can blame anyone but themselves for that. But it was fun. We got right out. We got home, and then we woke up and did it again the next day on Monday. Which
Yeah.
I think if we did this plan 6 years ago, we would have been, rocking and rolling, ready to go. But Monday, I mean, thankfully we had the whole day, but there was we didn't have a lot of life left.
No, there was
It
not a
was on
lot of
Monday.
life left in the group. No, we were all dead. Oh, you know what we missed? You know what we forgot to talk about? The first night we stayed in the Airbnb.
Oh, that's right. So in the hood,
Yeah, right. Quote
so
unquote.
the quote unquote the hood. So to set the scene, the person in the house next to us is pretty much as soon as we got there was nailing something. Like it sounded like he was building something with a hammer and nail.
Right.
And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not a big deal. At 8 o'clock at night, it's not a big deal. At 11 o'clock at night, yeah, it's a little annoying. And then as we're about to go to bed, like the loudest Spanish nightclub of all time just popped out of nowhere. And it was just like head thumping music, just like unbelievably loud. And it was hot in the Airbnb. So we needed to have the windows open,
Yeah.
especially, we were sleeping on the top floor. So you can't close the windows, which it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. They
No,
weren't
no.
soundproof windows,
Yeah.
but it was just like every 5 seconds, like do 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 do
The horns.
do do. Yep.
And then I'm laying in bed and I'm like, wow, they're like that music sounds really close. We couldn't pick. Everybody was arguing like where it might have came from, but we have an idea that it might have came right from next door in that garage. I mean, it could have, but I doubt it. But we're listening to the music and then we hear a DJ come on, like hyping up the crowd. Like where is this happening? It's such a quaint little neighborhood. And you couldn't really tell because there's so many cars anyway. Like we didn't know if there was like a million cars there for a party or if they were just there parked for because they lived there. But it was like, yeah, man, Saturday night over there, it got crazy
And then the guy was
all
still
night.
was still doing construction. Must have not been able to sleep with the music, and was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep working on whatever I'm working on. But the funny thing is, when we left on Tuesday, there was nothing built. Like for the time he put in,
Just hammering all night. Nothing. No, nothing.
uh, man. But yeah, so that happened, and thankfully Sunday night after WrestleMania, even though we got back super late, there was no discoteca. There was no party going on. So
No,
I
very
mean, we got
quiet.
back up, did it again Monday, tried our best.
Yep. Went to
Luckily,
Raw.
so one of us had an idea. So we rented the van, as we said, and one of us had an idea Monday
Yeah.
morning of instead of taking the van that we rented and paid for, we would Uber just somehow from our Airbnb to the Barclays Center, which is
Right.
what went wrong for the people at WrestleMania. And then after Raw, we would take a subway from the Barclays Center to anywhere. Not a no destination, no
Right.
specific destination. And then from there we would pick up an Uber in the middle of whatever stop we stopped at to the house. Matt, I know
Right.
hindsight's 2020, but do you think we should have done that?
Pack it in. No, definitely not. So that would be good.
Um, and just hopping on what else I've been up to. I did, you were over our house on Sunday. It was Holly's birthday
Yes.
Monday. We had a nice little
Yes.
brunch.
Beautiful
Um,
brunch.
but we did also go see John Mulaney at Providence Performing Arts Center
Ooh.
on Sunday night, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, he's
I
good.
mean, he's so funny. He's so funny. So I was trying to find online who opened. So Pete Davidson was his opener, but there was a guy who did like 15 minutes um, before, and I don't know who the hell it was, and I can't find him anywhere. He's not on the PPAC site, but anyway, he was very very funny. Pete Davidson, he's not a natural stand up comic. You can tell he's a little uncomfortable up there.
Yeah.
They did a Q&A after Mulaney's set, and he was like a lot funnier there. I think he's just a lot funnier riffing, like
Yeah.
not having a prepared set and trying to. He doesn't have the timing down. Like John Mulaney has just perfected it.
Yeah.
He's just extremely funny. But at Province Performing Arts Center, which I know you go to,
Yes.
I think there's two qualifications to be an usher. One, you have to be very elderly, or you have to have some type of physical limitation slash disability. So
You might be right. You might be right because I don't think I've ever dealt with anybody lower than the age of 70 working the working the tickets. I think it's just that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe they're like associated with an old folks home nearby, and like that's where they get all their talent from, and
some
they're
type
like
of
keeping the
program that
prices
they have
down.
going.
Yeah, it must be. It has to be because I like literally that's all it is. It could just be like they've been there forever, and that's just a job that you don't give up. You know what I mean? Like a very easy job. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, I will say they were very nice, but because so we, the woman who worked at Save the Bay, Stephanie, she was the one who bought the ticket. She couldn't go. She asked my mom if she knew anyone who would want them, so we got them. So we didn't know, we knew where we were sitting beforehand, but we didn't know where those seats were. Like we didn't pick them.
Yeah.
So we're walking in, and this very old woman is telling people where their seats are. So we go up to her and we show her our tickets, and she looks at them and she looks at us. She goes, "You guys know where you're going." We're like, "No, we don't. Like we don't know where we're going." She's like, well, you'll be all right." So we just walked to the next person who had like arm braces. Like those things that like latch onto your arms and
Yeah,
you
like
need
the
them to
crutches.
walk. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Like
So
what
like
Walter Jr. had in Breaking Bad.
yes.
Okay.
So we went to her, and then she walked us to our seat. But it's like I feel like the first woman had to know where our seats were. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she doesn't know the layout of the arena.
Yeah, maybe
It's
she's
possible.
just put she's just putting it on you.
She's like, you know where you're
Did
going. We're like,
did Pete Davidson or John Mulaney do any like local humor? Like, did they talk about Rhode Island at all? I kind of like that when comedians do that.
John Mulaney talked a little. Excuse me. John Mulaney talked a little bit. Pete was like very nervous, so he was like sticking to whatever script he probably gave the same set everywhere. John Mulaney talked a little bit about Rhode Island. I'm trying to remember. There was nothing really that stood out though. I mean, he was just very funny.
Yeah, he's the
I
man.
just like his style of humor. And at PPAC, they give you if you buy like the bigger cup of wine, they give you it in like a hard plastic cup with a sippy cup top.
Yes, that is something they started doing this year. It's
That's
amazing,
amazing.
isn't it? Yeah, and every time you go back up there, they give you another one. It's totally reusable. We have a bunch at the house.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you can use them you can use them after. I mean, it was just amazing. They were very strict with like cell phones, cameras. So I wonder if that he's using Mulaney must be using some of this for a new stand up that he's going to
Oh,
eventually
maybe,
film because they were
maybe.
very strict. Like they were multiple people walking up and down the aisles during the set to see if anyone had a cell phone out.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
so I
must
think
be. He must be.
he might be testing out some new material for eventually what he's going to film for like Netflix or something. But yeah, it was really fun. I thought it was very funny with the ushers. There's something, but I want to go back there. It's just such a beautiful place to like see a play or a comedy show, and they did a Q&A after. It was really fun. I almost got called on, but
Oh,
it
really?
didn't. Yeah, it didn't pick me. It picked a person to the right of me, and I don't know the guy. It was like this family. So like the mother and father sat next to me, but they were in like their 60s or 70s. So the
Yeah.
kids, it was like they brought their like five kids who were a little younger than me, and they pick one of the kids, and he asked John Mulaney a question, and he said, "Hey, like since you look like such an elf, what are all the other elves doing?" Like some stupid question, and John Mulaney just tore him apart.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he goes, "You fucking idiot, you stupid bastard!" Like you, and the mom was just like horrified. But it was like a really weird question. I guess he was making fun of like John Mulaney's ears.
Yeah, I
I guess they
guess.
look elfish, but John Mulaney's like, dude, I'm over 6 feet tall. Like this is, and I'm like, you could pick me. Like I had an actual good question ready to go.
What were you gonna ask him?
I was gonna ask him who was his favorite host to write for when he wrote for SNL.
That's a great question. The too bad it
And
was wasted on that
and we'll
fucking
never
moron.
know.
Yeah, what an
So
idiot.
after the show, me and Holly found him and beat the shit out of him, threw him in a dumpster.
Happy birthday, Holly.
She'd probably be happy with that present.
Yeah, not bad, right?
No, not bad. So do you want to jump to news and events, or do you want to talk about? I did add
Well,
a third topic in what we've been up to.
we'll just touch on it quickly. But yeah,
Okay.
coming over for brunch. You showed me your air fryer, and I needed to have one immediately. So I went out on Monday. I think it was Monday. Monday after work, there's a Bed Bath and Beyond on my way home, so I grabbed one. It's amazing. I only cooked burgers on it so far, but I very much enjoy uh, the way it cooks and how fast it cooks and what the food tastes like when I get it out of the oven. It's very good. It's also going along with I'm getting on that keto bandwagon for sure. I'm like hard into it. It's like been like pretty hardcore with it this week. I like it. I feel better already. Definitely, I can already tell. Like I not that I feel better, but like I can feel a change. Like I haven't eaten bread. I haven't eaten like any like really. I mean any carbs at all besides like whatever carbs I'm getting from like other foods like vegetables and shit. I haven't had like any like sugars, white flour, none of that. And I already like just in this first 5 days, 4.5 days, I feel like a million. I feel like a different person for sure. It's
I
amazing.
like it. Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the team. Welcome to Team
Thank you.
Keto, Team Air Fryer. We're happy to have you.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. I think that the sugar thing was the biggest thing. Like sugar is it's so bad for you.
It
And
really
like
is.
I never like we don't buy like me and Lindy don't like buy soda and stuff, but like I have it when I go out, but even like the occasional, it's just so terrible for you. It's just bad. So
And it
yeah,
just like drains you. Like you get, because the sugar, obviously you're not gonna eat a lot enough sugars to get like a sugar rush, but you really just don't feel great. Like you can feel, you kind of feel like lethargic if you have too much sugar, even if you have like a
yeah,
couple of glasses of juice or soda or anything like that. Or I mean, fruit is very high in sugar. Some of it's natural sugar, so you don't have to worry about it. But there's just so much, if you do watch what you eat a little bit. Like I mean,
yeah.
you don't have to go crazy.
No,
You
and
can
that's
if
what I
you
like
want
about
to,
it.
but
It's yeah, that's what I like about it. Like it's not like I'm making a drastic change to the way I eat. I'm just making better decisions and
yeah,
like it's making all the difference. Like it's crazy. It's like shit that like nobody our age should be drinking like soda and shit like that all like all the time. Like that's terrible
no,
for you. I know a
yeah,
guy that works with me. He comes in work in the morning. I think I told you about him. He drinks two sodas every morning, two wild cherry Pepsis. He comes in with them like 8 in the morning.
that's
That's
so bad.
terrible. That's got to be bad for you.
That is. I can say with 100% certainty it is very bad for you.
Yeah. So anyway, keto air fryer. I'm on board,
Boom.
100%. I'm riding with it. Love it.
and we can, we'll talk about it as the journey continues.
Yes. Yes. So sadness in the news. Notre Dame. Notre Dame. How do you say that? Dame? Dame?
Dom,
Dame. 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 Burning. Have you been to Paris?
I've never been to Paris.
I have not either. It's a terrible thing. It's not one of the wonders of the world, but it is one of those things. It's like been around for how long? Do you know? Do you have any idea? It's like
So yeah, the construction started in 1163.
so a long time. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
literally.
Jesus. Holy shit. Yeah. Wow. 1163.
And
That's
it's
wild.
sad too
Almost a
because
thousand years
it
ago.
seems like it was. I mean, from what y- obviously everyone wants to assume the worst, but it just seems like
Yeah.
because they were doing construction on it, and it just seems like something happened and it got out of control.
Yeah.
Like
Freak
during
accident.
during whatever they were trying to renovate, it just got out of control and very very sad. We actually so obviously but for any listeners out there who don't know, I work for a tour company. We do tours all over the world at all times. One of the benefits and cool things of that for me is like I always know, like, this was a huge news story, but whenever something happens, like today, unfortunately, you won't see it in the news, but there was a tourist bus crash in Madeira, Portugal, and like 30 tourists died. Very sad.
Ooh.
But like whenever
Man.
these things happen, we just always have tours everywhere, so we need to know about it. Um, but we actually had a tour that left the cathedral 3 hours before the fire.
Wow.
It was just we had a tour there. It's part of our itinerary for our London and Paris tour, and they had left because the fire started around 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. And luckily at that point, like most of the tours are out of there. It's just later in the day, but really really sad. One of those things like it was built so long ago and it's still in such great shape. I mean, it's a beautiful structure and but there was some good that came out of it. I don't know if you saw the thing with there's the picture of the father and the daughter.
No.
It was like right before the fire started. Some person took a picture of like a father and a daughter like holding hands, and the guy was like swinging his daughter through the air right in front of
Yeah.
the cathedral. It was perfect, and it just so happened that the guy who took the picture, didn't know the father or the daughter. He was just taking a picture of the cathedral, and when he went back to look at his pictures, he noticed this father and daughter in the foreground. They ended up connecting through social media, which is like a awesome social media story. And the guy who took the picture sent it to the father, like the picture of him and his daughter in front of
Oh,
the
that's
cathedral.
nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you look up the shot, it's actually like perfect. And the guy, he's not a professional photographer or anything, but it's just
Yeah.
really cool. They're just like playing, and yeah, it was really cool. So that's, I mean, you try to look at those stories that come out of it. Obviously, the story in general is very very sad. Um, but you already have people. I mean, Apple and someone else pledged like hundreds of millions of dollars to restore it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to get
That
restored. I mean,
that's great.
it's also the Catholic Church. I mean, I think they
They
have the
have
money.
they have some money to fix
Yeah,
that. Yeah, for sure. That's great. I mean, it sucks that it happened, but it's great that it's going to be fixed. It's not a total loss. A lot of the I know a lot of like the stone portions of the building are still good. Um,
and they saved a lot of the artwork too.
oh, that's good. That's very good. Yeah, that's important for
There
stuff like that. Yeah, definitely.
was one thing on Twitter. It was very funny because obviously people, even in tragedy, they're going to make memes.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and they were saving this one thing, and it was like I don't know what it was. It was something that it was like some painting or some mini sculpture, and they had like four or five people like carrying it above their heads and like running down the street with it.
Yeah.
And someone put on Twitter, it's like when Cersei realizes the Night King's coming to King's Landing, and it was just like the people running down the street with the the little statue. It was very funny. She was just like trying to run away. No, I thought that was pretty funny, but
That's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, another thing that we can kind of document, and hopefully it gets renovated and is as back to normal as can be soon. But yeah, there was some bright spots from it, but overall it was a very sad story.
Yeah. All right. Well, the NFL schedule came out. The NFL schedule for all the teams came out yesterday, was it?
Yes, it was.
Very exciting week one for the two of us. Bucks 49ers. Do you think that both teams will just get on in a bus crash on the way to the stadium and that'll be it for our
Yeah,
teams? Okay.
it's going to be tied 0-0. That's
It's gonna-
that's. I mean, I don't understand any other way for both of our seasons to start.
yeah. It's
But
gonna I have no idea what to make of the Bucks. This is the only year I think usually what happens is there's like a cycle of misery is what I like to call it. It's like
cycle of
it's
misery.
yeah, it starts at free agency. Very excited for the next season. You know, football's been out of my mind for like a good month and a half. Super Bowl's over. It's free agency. You know, the Bucks sign a few key players. Oh, this is gonna be great. Who are we gonna get in the draft? Oh, this guy's gonna be great. Everybody's saying he's awesome. And then training camp comes around and you hear Mike Evans is catching all the balls. Jameis Winston is throwing all the balls. And then preseason comes around and they look pretty good. And you're like, this is going to be the year. And then it just goes south. And then it's like after week 5, by the time week 5 comes around, I already know what the rest of the season is going to look like. And it's usually not very good. But
Hmm.
this year, I don't even have that like hope. Like we didn't sign anybody great in the off season. We have a new coach, Bruce Arians. Everybody's saying he's God's gift to quarterbacks. Well, I'll believe it when I see it with Jameis Winston. So I got nothing really. I don't know. I don't know how to gauge this team this year. I'd like them to be good, of course, but
And
I
they
don't
gave
think
us one of their best defensive players, right?
right, right. Quan Alexander. Very upset about that. He is a great linebacker. When he's not hurt, he's a great linebacker, and he had very minor injuries, so he'll be fine. But it's
Now,
it's
who uh, is now when they say Bruce Arians is the quarterback whisperer? Was it because of Kurt Warner when he was
no, it
the
was
Cardinals?
well, he was the quarterbacks coach for Peyton Manning on the Colts. No, no,
Oh,
no.
that's right. Okay,
Yeah,
he was the coach of the Colts. Yeah,
and then he also coached with it was Peyton Manning. He also coached with Ben Roethlisberger, and he also coached Andrew Luck. So, but the thing is, like Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, both like very good quarterbacks coming out of college. So there's
yeah.
something to be said about guys who are already good. It's like how good of a coach do you need to be? It's like, you know, how good of a coach do what's his face? The guy who was the coach for the Heat when LeBron, Bosch, and Wade were there. The hell is his name?
Oh, Eric Spolstra.
Yeah, how good did he need to be as a coach? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's
it's
like
you
yeah. I
don't
mean,
like I'm pretty sure me and you could have won 3 titles
right. I mean, there's a
if
reason
you
he's not a coach in the league anymore.
right, yeah, you know what I mean? So like, you know, who knows? But I guess Ben Roethlisberger is a good case in point. But again, like, who knows? He could have just been like he just has it, you know. There's like a lot of the stuff what Ben Roethlisberger does can't be taught. Like it's just like what he you
It's
know,
just
it's like
like the
how he is.
intangibles of like escaping pressure and making throws on the run. Like
Right.
I don't know if a coach coached him to that or if he just happens to be a very good quarterback.
Right. So who knows? And like Jameis Winston, like there's really no excuse of why he shouldn't be a good NFL quarterback. He was amazing in college and he has like the physical stature, he has the arm strength. He just can't pull it together. And I think he really struggles as a leader. I think that I think he really wants to be a leader, but when he tries to, it doesn't come off as genuine and he's like over the top. And I don't think like the other players like follow his lead when it comes to that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What about the Niners?
The thing that makes me nervous about the 49ers is similar to last year. Oh, sorry, I was on a website. I was like, who the hell's talking? It's like, is that Matt? That can't be him. The thing with the 49ers that makes me nervous, similar to last year, is that their season really hinges on Jimmy G. Like you don't want your season
Mhm.
to really sink or swim based on one guy, especially at the quarterback position, especially a guy who gets hurt. This is the second major
Yeah.
injury he's had because he got hurt with the Pats, and now he's hurt. Last year with his knee. I'm excited. I mean, it's foolish optimism, but I'm excited. They made all the right moves. They didn't bite on OBJ or Antonio Brown. You know,
Good moves.
yeah, I just don't think. Yes, they need a wide receiver, but getting OBJ or Antonio Brown and not solidifying your defense would have been useless. So, I mean, their defense was bad last year. They needed help, so they signed Quan Alexander. They had the second pick in the draft, which all roads look like it's leading to Nick Bosa, which I'm pumped about because he's a great pass rusher and
Yeah.
they need that. They've never been good in recent memory without a good defense, specifically a good linebacker. Like their last great era, when they made the Super Bowl and kept making the playoffs, was the Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman era. So give me that
Yeah.
defense. I mean, if Jimmy G can play well,
Hmm.
they have. I like their offense. I know they don't have any standout receiver, but they have George Kittle, who's nasty,
Hmm.
and now you have Matt Breida, who's really good. Jerick McKinnon's coming back, and Tevin Coleman. So you got three quick pass catching running backs who you can shift them in and out, so none of them get hurt. Ideally, none of them get tired, but they can all catch the ball out of the backfield for Jimmy. And I mean,
Yeah.
Sherman's coming back, so hopefully, another year with him and the secondary will help. I don't know. I'm cautious. I'm foolishly optimistic. Hopefully, we start 1-0 at the Bucks, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that
It's
looks.
probably
I don't know how it's going to crash
it's
together.
probably a good chance. It's probably a good chance. The Bucks don't do well the first week.
Well,
I don't think I can remember a year they won the first week. So
I wanted to open
it's
up.
I feel like I'm
I wanted to open up this topic and say, Matt, kind of ballsy of the NFL to put the NFC Championship game week 1, but I don't know.
I know, right? I know. I don't know. We'll see. I hope so. That'd be
That
nice.
would be really nice.
The Yeah, the Bucks are always digging themselves out of a hole. Another fucking thing that I'm really upset about with the NFL is the Bucks are playing in London again this year, and of course, it's their home game. Like it uses their home game. I was looking at Stephen Chair. Is that how you say it? From Barstool?
Yeah,
Stephen
like
Chair.
CH.
He's yeah, CHEA. He's a big Bucks fan, and he was doing like the math. It's like the Bucks don't play in their home stadium for 7 weeks or something like that. It's like something insane. And like they have this insane road schedule that goes from the West Coast all the way out to London. It's like it's insanity. He put up like how many miles they're traveling. It's like 8,000 or 9,000 miles or something like that in the course of 6 weeks. It's bizarre. But I can't we were talking on Twitter about this. The Bucks have played in London now. This is probably their fifth or sixth time since they've been doing it. And I don't think we've ever gone to London and not waste a home game for us. Like literally, we were talking about it. I think that every single time we've gone to London, it's been a home game for us, which sucks. You lose an actual home game because those are not home games.
No,
No, you're traveling to London. It's not a home game for you.
and I feel like they should at least flip back and forth. If you're going to keep going there,
Oh,
it should be it can't be a home game every year. That's ridiculous.
Stephen Chair was saying that it coincides with how many times your team hosts the Super Bowl. So like if your city gets to host the Super Bowl a lot, which the Tampa Bay does host it pretty often, but like not enough to this sucks. It sucks for the team. Like sure, it's great for the city to host the Super Bowl, but it has not like we're not going to be in the Super Bowl if we can't get home games.
Right.
Like what the fuck?
Yeah, it needs to go hand in hand.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna you know what? Usually I'm excited. This year maybe I'll roll in like under the radar. Set the bar real low. That way they can just blow away my expectations because I don't know what's next. Like I don't think I can deal with another coach. Like I'm done with that.
Yeah, that's a lot of changes.
Having a new coach fucking every year, every 2 years is like it sucks. Like I forget about coaches sometimes. I forget we had him. Like Lovey Smith. I forgot we had Lovey Smith for a minute there. Greg Schiano. It's ridiculous. So,
Yeah, and the only thing
Buccaneers, baby.
I mean, I actually looking at the schedule, I'm gonna try to go to the game in New Orleans in December 8th is week 14. So ideally, be able to go to that game. That'd be pretty cool. I've never been to New
Yeah,
Orleans.
that's cool. Nice.
But
That'd be cool.
looking at it from as a 49ers fan, the last 4 weeks are at New Orleans, at home against the Falcons, at home against the Rams, and at the Seahawks. So not an ideal closing stretch.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. And actually, before that, you're at the Ravens, at home against Green Bay. So they really better start the season off well, if they want to make the playoffs. But yeah, I'm going to try to go to the Saints game in December.
That's
Because I
awesome.
figure
That'd be
flights and hotels in New Orleans in December cannot be expensive. Like, I can't imagine it would be. So,
Yeah, probably not.
and my,
Nice.
my uncle went to the Patriots game 2 years ago. Did the Pats play in New Orleans, I think?
Yeah, maybe.
And he said the
I'm not
tickets were very cheap. So if they're cheap for the Pats, they can't be expensive for the 49ers. So
Well, anywhere out of the Northeast is cheap.
right.
NFL tickets.
Yeah, it's just the Patriots. Like, you try to go to a Patriots game and spend less than $250. It's like, nope, sorry. All right. Guess I won't go then.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I know something we can be excited about.
Yes.
Game of Thrones. It's back. Do you wanna like just touch on like what our favorite parts were from the first episode?
Yeah.
And like kind of like yeah. All right, yeah, and then we'll kind of do like a little we'll guess what we think's gonna happen next.
Okay.
I think the person who stole the show in episode 1 of season 8, is it season 8?
Yeah, season 8.
Bran definitely stole the show.
Yeah.
He's such a weirdo. He's so weird. I can't get over it.
The stairs. I mean, the cool thing now is like we're in meme central, so there's so many funny memes with Bran. There were funny memes with Bran, and there were funny memes with Daenerys and poor Samwell.
Like, that was such a sad scene.
That really was.
Kudos to Sam. Whoever the actor that plays Sam, like that scene was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, he did a really good job acting that out. And really sucks for him, but his family was a dick to him. So I don't feel that bad, but I know that all he wanted was to be accepted. Like, it didn't change that his father and brother were dicks, but
because didn't the father banish him? Like he wasn't.
Yeah.
Said he wasn't part of the family or something.
Yeah, right. He wasn't going to allow him home. So
but it was sad. But yeah, Bran. I mean, Bran stole the show, and now he's just like spouting off at the mouth, just like all these things he knows.
I know the end when Jamie rides up and gets off his horse and he sees Bran. Like, out of all, this is how Game of Thrones does stuff. Out of all the reunions that I was excited for and that I thought were going to happen for this episode, it was like a big reunion episode. That's all it was. Like, this whole big setup. Everybody's meeting each other again for the first time since like some since the first season. Like, crazy.
Yeah, Jon and Arya first season.
Right. But I did not expect Bran and Jamie to be reunited from when Jamie pushed him out of the thing. And when he gets up, so Barstool did and I don't know if Barstool originated it, but Tommy Smokes put out a video of Jamie getting off his horse and seeing Bran, and then like the Curb Your Enthusiasm music plays, and it was perfect. It was so perfect, such a Curb Your Enthusiasm moment. Like, it was just perfect. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, that was very good. But yeah, it was definitely a huge reunion episode. I liked seeing Arya and the Hound back together. That was really cool. Obviously, Jon Snow and Arya.
Yes.
It was very cool. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, it's been going for 2 years. I think people were expecting like the first scene to be like them fighting the White Walkers in King's Landing. It's like that you need to It's been 2 years. Like, you need to get shit going again. I mean, we know the White Walkers are beyond the wall, and they're making their way there. But from their pace, they don't run. So I mean, they're not. It's going to take
Yeah.
them a while to get to where they need to be. I mean, we got a brief glimpse of the destruction they're causing. With that scene with the children, one of the children of the forest hammered to or whatever to that symbol that they make.
Well, that was one of the kids, like one of the heads of the house, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? I thought it was one of the children of the
No,
forest.
no, I think that was the kid that John sent to the castle to evacuate it. He's like, there's no sense in having people on the wall. He went to go evacuate the Night's Watch. That was the kid he sent from like the throne room at Winterfell.
Maybe he just looked different because
Yeah,
he was
that was
dead.
yeah, that was a horrifying scene.
It was.
He was staked to the wall, and then Tormund is right. It was Tormund is facing away from him,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you just see his eyes turn blue, and you're like, oh shit! And no one really like I was watching it with Lindy, my brother, my mom, and my dad, and like none of us really noticed until like the last second, like the blue eyes. It was crazy.
I know. And I actually read a interesting theory on that. I don't know if I should
Tell me.
share it.
Oh, I'm ready for a theory. I love a good theory.
So this really has more to do with the books, because I don't really think we know about it if you watch the show, and I don't read the books. So this was just some user's theory. So that symbol, which we've seen before, like with he made the symbol out of the other people's arms, the Night King.
Yeah.
So we have seen that before. So what they think that symbol means is there is this forest, which is similar to the place where the tree is, where the three-eyed raven lived,
Yeah.
which is where the Night King was created. Like, they tied him to the tree, they stabbed him
Okay.
with dragon glass, and I guess there's this forest where there's a bunch of those trees, and if you stab like the tree in the middle, which in this episode the kid signified, or you light it on fire, then what it'll do is it'll kill the Night King. And just as the fire spread in that symbol in that scene, if you kill the Night King, it, it'll kill everyone the Night King's turned, which is everyone. So it'll stop them.
Oh,
But
why would they give up that secret?
that's what they're saying. Like, why would they? So there's one theory that's saying like the White Walkers are like tired, like they're sick of traveling, they're sick of doing all this, because they do have some type of, like, they're not like Walking Dead zombies, like they can think for themselves.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and they might think like maybe the Night King is just getting like sick of it all and either wants to kill them or give them a hint or whatever. But the downside is whoever, if you do that, you kind of kill the basically all the magical parts of Game of Thrones characters, because the Night King is obviously a magical thing. He's not like a normal being. So that would kill, and that would kill the Red Priestess. That would kill Beric Dondarrion. That would kill Jon Snow because they've been brought back to life, and then that would kill the dragons. So I don't know if they
Oh,
have the
that's
time to like
interesting.
introduce all this and then perform it in 5 episodes. But it's an
Yeah.
interesting theory because Holly's theory is that someone obviously sacrificed themselves to kill the Night King. But I mean, I don't know. Is it going to be Jon Snow? Is it going to be Bran? Like, is Bran going to warg himself into the Night King and kill himself?
Right. Yeah. I have a feeling it has something to do with Bran. And I also think that Jon Snow's not making it out of this season alive. So
I can't imagine.
yeah.
I don't know.
I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so what I read is that based on like the scenes from next week's episode, the big battle with the White Walkers is going to be episode 3.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, because I mean, there's just so much. The cool thing about Game of Thrones is there's so many characters and there's so many things so many ways it could go that like you don't know. Like, you don't know. Obviously, you don't know, but I mean, so many different things make sense.
Hmm.
Like the Night King could just win, and that's it. I mean, I feel like they've been mentioning the Iron Islands a while for a reason, and we know the White Walkers can't swim. I mean, does Cersei just go back with Euron to the Iron Islands and let everyone on the other side of the water fight it out, and then she comes back and you know reaps the rewards? I mean, that's a Cersei thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think's gonna
I don't
happen
know.
next episode?
I think so. For the next episode, I guess obviously at the end of the episode, I would assume that the White Walkers show up at Winterfell.
Because they're close.
Right? Because if the third episode is the big battle, then I would assume that them showing up at the end of episode 2 is not a stretch. I also think that we get more of what is going on, like in King's Landing. Like we didn't like we were in King's Landing for a very brief amount of time, just for like that scene between Euron and Cersei. But I think there's probably going to be more to that. I think maybe we see a quick little shot at Yara maybe taking back the Iron Islands or something like that, because she says she has to. Euron has all of his men with him, but I imagine some people have been left behind to guard the Iron Islands. So maybe there's like a quick scene of Yara taking that back. I think we have a scene of Theon rejoining um, his family, his sort of family in Winterfell, and finally, like, I mean, it's tough to be redeemed as Theon because he's been such a shithead most of the series. But I think next episode might be like his like redeeming, like, here's, I don't know, like he shows up and has like a little speech or does something and whatever, something like that.
Do you think he's gonna sacrifice himself at some
Um,
point?
but yeah, I think it's gonna be a Theon definitely. Theon will definitely sacrifice himself for sure. Like that'll be. I think that's the only way he can really get his full redemption arc done with, is to redeem is to for him to sacrifice himself. But other than that, I think it's another setup episode. I think we find out, or we see some fallout from what Sam told John about him being Aegon
Yeah.
Targaryen. Who he really is. Um, and just like a lot more setup between that. Maybe he brings that to Daenerys and says sees what she has to say about it, that kind of stuff. Maybe he talks to Bran about
So
it.
one
Who
thing that Holly
knows?
had noticed, and I didn't, is that Cersei is drinking wine in the episode, which
Yes. Right.
the normal rules of pregnancy are you shouldn't be drinking wine. Um, do you think that has anything, or is that just kind of it's Game of Thrones, anything goes?
I don't Yeah, I think it's I mean, I know like factually back then they still drank wine and beer and things like that, because a lot of the times the wine was
That's
safer
true.
to drink than the water because of um it- because of like bacteria and things like that in the water. And at least with wine it's fermented and like it's um it just doesn't have the bacteria that water would carry. But I don't think that they went that in depth with it. That could just be like I don't think she really gives a fuck. She's probably just gonna have a glass of wine if she wants a glass of wine. Or I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, kind
was
of
the
like when
pregnancy
Tyrion said you're
confirmed?
pregnant, and she didn't say anything back, but I mean, she kept rubbing her belly. So,
Right, right. Yeah,
and I
so
think
probably. Yeah. I mean, it could
she
be. It could be
disowned
something. I don't know.
Jamie. Jamie's gone now. Jamie's in Winterfell, so now she can say
Yeah.
this is Euron's. If she has it, like where before she wasn't with anyone else.
Right. Yeah. This would be a
So
perfect.
I think, I mean,
Right.
because a
Perfect
lot of her
person to
thing
quote
is
off on.
convincing herself of things.
Yeah.
Even though she knows it's Jamie's, she can say, "Well, no, like I had sex with
Mhm.
Euron, it's his." And she'll convince herself of it because she's insane. Um,
Yeah. Do you think that Bronn is gonna kill Tyrion or
I
Jamie?
don't know. I don't. I wouldn't be surprised if he killed all of them
I
because, well, so Holly's theory, which I really like, is
You
that
think so?
Bronn, where Bronn grew up, he like the Lannisters like burned down his village and like
Oh,
killed his
right.
whole
Yeah.
family and everything. Because he does reference a lot of like, first time I saw a dead body, I was 5 or something like
Yeah.
that, and he has spent considerable time getting close to each of the Lannisters. Um, I don't know. He's playing a big role somehow. I don't know what the role is, but
That
he
would be a
clearly
really
is going to play a big role. I don't know. I can't see him killing Tyrion. I could see him killing Jaime. Or,
yeah.
if Bran doesn't kill him with his ice
Yeah.
cold stare first.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what, like, I'm sure Bran at this point, as the three-eyed raven, doesn't hold any hard feelings. But what is he gonna say to him? I like, you know what I mean? Like, he called him an old friend.
Yeah, well,
He
Bran's
referenced
not
him as
also
an old
not Bran
friend,
anymore either.
which is
He's just
strange. You
just
know?
some weirdo.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting episode next week because I feel like that. Um, this is it's gonna be weird because like maybe like Daenerys and John
Yep,
both like talk and they find out that they're related, right? And so that's going to be a point of contention. And then you have Jamie showing up, and I'm sure that Jon Snow is going to be more on the side of like leniency with Jamie rather than maybe. I mean, he was also integral in getting Ned Stark killed, so maybe not. But I know that Daenerys
killed
is
her
definitely
dad.
going to be not a fan of Jamie being there, right? So that right, that could be interesting. But also, like, I don't see Jamie dying in the Winterfell throne room next week. You know, and I also don't see him being locked up. So what's going to happen with
Something's
him?
got to give. Yeah,
He has to join the ranks somehow. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be an interesting scene. I I like Daenerys a lot. She's definitely not my favorite character, but like the scenes with her and Sansa, like in the first episode, were kind of tough to watch. I just don't like the way that she's coming off as like I don't know, like the title means more to her than
hmm.
like surviving this. Like I think like
Right. Like Jon
you should
Snow's
be
been
making
going out of
good
his way
everybody you
to
possibly can.
bring you here and do all this stuff
Yeah.
for you and bend the knee to you against
Yeah.
all the advice of everyone. The least you can do is not be so obsessed with being the queen and all this stupid shit. Like you're not trying to take over, you're trying to survive against the White Walkers. I thought that was the whole point.
Yeah. 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 I will say this. The only two people that are
Yeah.
still playing the game is Sansa and Cersei. Like Sansa is fucking not gonna fall for anything. She knows what the fuck's going on. She fucking there was a power shift with her and Tyrion. She's like, I used to think
Yeah.
you were the most clever person in all the world. You know what I mean? Like she's the only one that's still playing the game. She understands what's in front of her with the Night King and the army of the undead, but like she also knows that like you need to keep politics like straight and narrow because people can turn on you. Like
Oh yeah.
from the word
100%.
go, she knew Cersei wasn't coming with her army. She knew it. Yeah, she knew it. And the same thing with Cersei. Like Cersei's, playing everybody a fool. They're the only two left playing the actual Game of Thrones. And I think that Daenerys is kind of getting lost in like the
And so
power
I'm kind of glad because
grab.
like Sansa's finally getting her due. Like for so long she was just this victim, and everyone was treating her bad, and you felt
Yeah,
bad for her. But it's like, when is she gonna like rebel? Like be like, f these people. Like and now she's got Arya by her side too. That
I
goddamn
know. I
psychopath. I
know.
love Arya so much.
Took a while. Oh yeah, me too. I'm so glad that she's protecting Sansa. Like I couldn't believe what she said to Jon Snow. Like when she was saying how like she's like um what did she say? He's like I would never turn my back on my
Yeah.
family. And she's like remember
Oh, what
that
was
or
it?
something, right?
I it's when they were in the
Yeah.
like in out in the
I
field
forget what the
or out in
actual
the
line
snow.
was, but like yeah. And he was like she's like I'm your family too or whatever. I don't know, something. It was a great line, but basically it was her like telling John, like, listen, like, I'm glad you're back and everything, but like, don't get it twisted. Like, I'm with Sansa and the Starks for
Yeah, it's
this.
like, I'm glad you brought the Dragon
It's our
Queen,
best
but
interest
she doesn't mean
first.
shit to us.
So, th-
So I'm so happy it's
Yeah,
back. I
right.
wish it was going to last
No,
so
that's
much
right.
longer. It's going to end so fast.
Very good. I know. Only five more
Should be good on
episodes.
Easter.
Next
Did
one is in a couple
someone rise from
days.
the dead,
So,
Matt?
but ooh, that is good. You know what? A little callback here. On Father's Day in 2014, I believe it was season 5 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
On Father's Day, Tyrion killed his dad with a crossbow. So Game of Thrones is not above doing
That's the
that. They
thing.
knew
Like
it was
they've
coming
set up
out on
these
Easter.
episodes very
So
far in advance.
who
So
knows?
you're gonna have
Maybe.
one Father's Day. You're gonna have one Mother's Day.
Yeah. Yeah. Who um shit. Who if you think someone comes
Um,
back from the dead, who do you think's coming back from the dead?
Lady Stark. Yeah.
That's who I think too. I think I've read a bunch of theories about her and in the books and everything.
Lady
I think
Stoneheart.
that's the only missing piece, like the big missing piece from the books. I think she'll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, need it,
That'd be
need
so
it.
cool.
Oh my god, I need it. Oh man, need it. Yeah, it'd be pretty badass.
And they've been
You know
in
what?
there a
There's something
lot.
about those crypts though, the Stark crypts. Like they've they've been down there a lot, man, a lot. So very interesting.
Well, I mean, Game of
Anyway,
Thrones.
what
So
else you been watching?
we timed the rewatch perfect. So we finished the before Sunday, the most recent episode on Friday night. So that took up a lot of our time. Obviously, watched the new episode of Game of Thrones. But I'll tell you what, HBO's got a lot of good stuff going on right now. Watching Barry, which I know you watch and we share the same love for. It's 3 episodes in. It's been great. It's just like a perfect mix of like funny and
So good.
obviously it's dark comedy, but I think it's really good. And also Veep, final season of Veep on HBO has been very very good, very funny. The last episode was really funny. It's just like I think it started satire. It was satire, but now with like how politics are, it's a good time for it to end because the stuff that Trump does and like it's the stuff that he does is crazier than how they act in the show now. So it's kind of hard to satire that. Like, and I think that's why SNL also has a hard time coming
Yeah,
up with like funny political comedy because what are you going to say? Like, you could literally put his speeches word for word in there, and
yeah,
it stops being funny after a while because you're like, oh, he's this is how they really are. Like before, it was like you thought that's how they were,
well,
but
this
they
is real.
still had the exterior of like a politician. Now there's nothing. It's just so, but I do like it. Veep
Yeah,
is still very funny. Been
yeah.
watching Barry. That's really it. That's it for now. How about yourself?
Cool. Well, Barry is great. I've just been watching Barry. I've been watching The Twilight Zone as well. I watched the first 2 episodes. They've been releasing it in stages on CBS All Access. So I've only seen the first two. The first one starred Kumail Nanjiani. The second episode starred Adam Scott of Step Brothers and Parks and Rec fame. Very, very good episode. Loving it. I mean, I can't get over how good Jordan Peele is in the Rod Sterling role. I love it. I can't believe he almost didn't do it. Um, and then I also been watching this new show on
I'm not. I
Netflix
saw you
called
tweet about it
Love,
though.
Death, and Robots. Are you familiar? Yeah, so it's an anthology show. All the episodes are 15 minutes or less, like between 10 and 15 minutes. They are it's so all of them are it's anthology, so all of them are not connected to one another at all, and they're all not shot or animated like one another either. Like one could look like Toy Story, one could look like um a Scanner Darkly. I don't know if you remember that movie with Keanu Reeves. Like another one could look um like Ready Player One, and then another one could look just like a normal like movie. It's wild. It's all like very sci-fi stuff. Oh, that's like the one connection they all have. Everything's like very sci-fi, like futuristic kind of stuff. But it is cool. And the first episode is like a real like set this series off with a bang. Like they get it's these really like bite-sized stories, but they just like get right into it. Like there's no messing around. It's all story. There's no fluff, and it's great. The first one's called Sunny's Edge. It's oh my god, it's amazing. It reminds me of Black Mirror a little bit, but it's not like a it's not a Black Mirror episode where like you kind of like look at yourself and be like, shit, like that's commentary on fucking how people are using their phones all the time, or how terrible everybody is. But it's more like it's kind of like you get that like gross feeling like watching it. It's like like it's like a dirty future and there's killing and whatever, but the way they weave in the story is like, I don't know, it's really good. And like one of them was like super dark, and the next one was like this super little funny 10-minute episode about these three robots that are roaming the earth after like humans are long gone, and they're like discovering things that like humans used to do, like play basketball, and they couldn't understand what a basketball was. It was really, really good. So I like that. And I'm also watching The Walking Dead still. I am almost done with the penultimate episode, and then I am going to watch the finale, and I'll be done. So
Awesome.
that's
So
where
what do you
I'm
think?
at. It's good. It's good so far. I know that like I haven't hit the shit yet in the penultimate episode. Like right before we get on here, I just
Yeah.
turned it off as who was it? It was like Carol and Daryl and a couple others. They got surrounded by the Whisperers. But nothing has hit the shit. No shit has hit the fan yet. But I have a few ideas. You want to know something? I had no idea Ryan Hurst was Beta. No idea.
Yeah. You wouldn't
No
know
idea.
unless you looked it up because he's always in the
The mask,
Walker
right?
mask.
I had no idea.
Always. Yeah.
But also, he seemed like it wasn't like the same build he had from like Sons of Anarchy. This like Beta seems taller and lankier, but I guess he's.
I think it's the way they film him. Like
I
at
guess.
least with the height, they seems like they film him because he feels like he's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's very tall, and like so, Lindy called it out. She saw his name in the opening credits, and I was like, what? I was like, Ryan Hurst is not in this show. Like, I can guarantee you he's not in this show. It must be a different Ryan Hurst. But no, it was. It's Ryan Hurst.
Love him. Great actor.
Yeah, great actor. Great character. Beta's scary.
Yeah. No, I like the alpha and beta dynamic. I think you'll like where it goes too. So we'll talk about that once you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah, very nice.
all right, man. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. If you guys want to check us out, the podcast, again, it's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, a bunch of other places, youtube.com/the average nobodies for a video version, which is not really a video version. It's just a placeholder, but you can still listen to it there.
It's a video of us playing the guitar.
Yes, right, poorly. And yeah,
This is a song.
if you want to check out our blog, it's averagenobodies.com, and we'll most likely be back next week. I'll be traveling. I'll be in DC, but it'll be the day before. If we do podcast, it'll be the day before Endgame comes out. So I'd like to chat about that for a little bit before I get into that. But we'll most likely be back next week. I'll bring my microphone with me on the road.
Excelente.
All right, Ryan. Well, it was nice talking to you.
Matt, it's been a pleasure. I hope you have a great night.
You as well, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, take care.
Bye, everybody.
Farewell.
All right, I'm gonna stop.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.